Kubota's position on safety and health. The health and safety of Kubota workers is the first priority of the organization. Kubota's basic policy on safety and health is that no work is to be carried out without serious consideration for safety and health. To achieve this, Kubota established the fundamental principle that all people involved in the business shall behave based on the philosophy that safety is our first priority. All personnel shall respect the predetermined rules in place to protect themselves from accidents. Reporting work-related injuries or illnesses and accidents or incidents. Immediately report all work-related accidents and incidents to your manager. These include near misses, property damage, injuries, and illnesses. If your manager is not available, report the occurrence to another manager or supervisor. Managers and supervisors must report occurrences to a safety or human resources representative within 24 hours. Keep clear of unsafe accident and incident scenes, even if someone needs help. Instead, call 911 to request professional assistance. Entering an unsafe accident scene will likely increase the number of victims and worsen the situation. If someone is injured or ill, seek treatment immediately after notifying management. If there is any doubt, call 911 for emergency medical services. Designated employees have been trained in basic first aid skills. A list of these personnel is maintained in the Emergency Action Plan. You should not provide basic first aid, CPR, or use an AED, an automated external defibrillator, unless you have been properly trained to do so. Keep away from blood, bodily fluids, and other potentially infectious material unless you have been properly trained for these biological hazards. Unless special circumstances apply or if the situation presents an unsafe condition, the scene of an accident, incident, or near miss should not be disturbed until an investigation is conducted and documented. Accident-incident reports are integral to improving workplace safety and are a source of data required for record-keeping purposes. In accordance with the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, personnel have the following rights and protections pertaining to the reporting of work-related injuries and illnesses. Personnel have the right to report work-related injuries and illnesses. Also, employers are prohibited from discharging or in any manner discriminating against personnel for reporting work-related injuries or illnesses. Emergency Action Plan Overview. The Emergency Action Plan, or EAP, is intended to prepare personnel for dealing with emergency situations. Report all emergencies to your manager or supervisor immediately. Examples of emergencies include fire or explosion, severe weather, medical emergencies, chemical spill or release, active shooter, bomb threat, or other acts of violence. The EAP includes the following 4 emergency actions. Evacuation, commonly associated with a building fire, indicates the need to immediately exit the building and assemble together outside. In fact, the strobe and horn fire alarm devices throughout the facility are used to signal an evacuation, as is the fire, fire, fire announcement. In contrast, the shelter for storm action indicates a need to remain inside the building, but personnel must relocate to a designated shelter. The signal for this action is a shelter for storm announcement accompanied by a wailing siren sound produced by handheld megaphones. The third emergency action is to shelter in place. The reason for this action might be a chemical release outside the facility, prompting the need for everyone to remain indoors. The verbal shelter in place command, accompanied by a whistle sound produced by our megaphones, is the signal. The last emergency action is lockdown, which may be due to an external threat that we want to prevent from entering the building. If you hear the verbal lockdown, lockdown announcement, remain inside the building and keep out of view from the exterior. Active shooter event. As unpleasant as it is to consider, active shooter events happen, usually without warning. When an active shooter is in your vicinity, you must be prepared both mentally and physically to deal with the situation. According to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, you will have 3 options: run, hide, fight. If you can, run to escape the danger. Do not attempt to move anyone who is wounded, but try to help others also escape if they are willing. Keep your hands visible and call 911 when you are safe. If you are unable to run, hiding is the next best option. Select an area out of the shooter's view. Lock and blockade the door with heavy furniture. Silence your phone and remain quiet. Once you have reached a safe location, you will likely be held in that area by law enforcement until the situation is under control and all witnesses have been identified and questioned. Do not leave the area until law enforcement authorities have instructed you to do so. It is imperative that emergency exits remain unobstructed at all times. From the interior or exterior side, paths to and the use of these doors cannot ever be blocked. During an evacuation warden will be checking to ensure all personnel are present at the assembly area. It is vital that you are alert for this roll call and remain at the assembly area for further instructions. The Emergency Action Plan includes personnel assigned to special duties with separate training. These include personnel with first aid and CPR training, fire extinguisher training, and people with leadership roles. This EAP overview training does not include site-specific details, but the following information will be provided to you as part of your initial training at Kubota. Your onboarding trainer will let you know the location of the storm shelter or shelters, the assembly area or areas, and review the routes to the emergency exits in your work area. He or she will also inform you of the evacuation warden for your group and to whom you can direct additional questions about the EAP. PPE and attire, personal protective equipment, or PPE, and attire suitable for the work tasks will reduce your risk of injury. For those working in the warehouse environment, safety toe shoes are required. Suitable footwear will be marked as being compliant with the ASTM F2413 standard. Restrain loose garments and hair while operating equipment. Remove all jewelry when working with or near machinery. Keep clear of moving parts. Other specific tasks may require additional PPE, such as impact-rated eyewear, hearing protection, hand protection, or a full-body harness. If additional PPE pertains to your work, your supervisor or manager will provide more information. Do not operate any equipment unless you have been trained and authorized to do so. This includes forklifts, also known as powered industrial trucks, Kubota or other brands of power equipment, or other machinery. If powered equipment provides seat belts or other safety devices designed to protect the operator, these must be correctly used during operation. If during the inspection or while using any equipment you discover a problem, immediately notify your supervisor so the issue can be assessed. Do not attempt to repair or adjust defective or malfunctioning equipment. If trained and authorized personnel determine the equipment needs to be repaired or replaced, the item will be tagged out of service until the issue is corrected. Never remove or disturb locks or tags indicating equipment is out of service. If you have questions about the condition of equipment, notify your supervisor or manager. Hazardous materials and spills. Typical warehouse duties do not involve contact with substances that could present a physical or health risk. If you believe you have had contact with a hazardous material, notify your supervisor or manager immediately. Information about any hazardous materials at the facility is kept in an accessible binder with safety data sheets, also known as SDSs. If you notice a spill or materials leaking from a container or piping, keep clear and notify your supervisor or manager immediately. Environmentally hazardous waste, such as used oil, batteries, or other chemicals, must be disposed of correctly. Notify your supervisor or manager for direction in these situations. No new hazardous materials are permitted on site unless the facility safety representative has reviewed the substance documentation and approved the request. Fire can result when heat, air, fuel, and an ignition source are present in suitable conditions. Since fire is dangerous to people and property, fire prevention measures are an important aspect of a safety program. The following are effective ways to limit the risk of fire. Keep trash in waste containers. Trash bins should be emptied regularly to minimize the accumulation of combustible materials. Flammable liquids and gases must be stored appropriately. As examples, you will notice that unused propane is stored outside in a secured area. Aerosol paints are stored in specially constructed cabinets and rooms. Work that produces open flame or sparks, such as welding or grinding metal, is considered hot work. No hot work is allowed in the facility unless a hot work permit is issued by the facility safety representative. This process ensures the necessary precautions have been taken. Smoking, smokeless or vapor-style devices, and other forms of tobacco such as dip, rub, and snuff are not permitted inside the facility. Your supervisor or manager can show you the location of the designated smoking areas. Fire extinguishers are located throughout the building for trained personnel to use if necessary. Do not damage or block access to these or other fire protection equipment in the facility. One of the most commonly used hand tools in a warehouse is the utility knife. Sometimes called a box cutter, these are useful for cutting plastic binding straps, opening cartons, and trimming away stretch wrap. If care isn't taken, however, these sharp tools can easily puncture the skin and slice deeply into soft tissue. The following practices can lessen your risk of injury when using a utility knife. Do not use knives that expose more of the cutting edge than is needed for the task, such as a pocket knife or a fixed blade knife. Make sure the blade is properly seated and the tool is properly fastened together before use. Report defective tools to your supervisor. Always use sharp blades. A dull blade requires more force, which makes the tool hard to control. Dispose of blades in a container designated for this purpose. Use extreme care when handling raw blades. Only expose as much of the cutting edge as is needed for the depth of the cut. Remember, box tape is very thin. Never cut toward any part of your body or anyone else. The path of the knife should be kept clear. Maintain focus on the knife during use and keep your free hand away from the direction of the cut. Do not bend, pry, or apply side loads to blades. Utility blades are brittle and can snap easily. When cutting through thick or difficult materials, be patient. Make several passes, cutting a little each time. If you drop a knife, stand back and let it fall. Don't try to catch it. Close, sheathe, or retract the blade when the cut is complete. Never leave a knife unattended while the blade is exposed. Poor lifting technique is the cause of numerous preventable back injuries. This can affect your ability to work and limit your enjoyment of life with friends and family. Using the following techniques will reduce the risk of injury when lifting. Assess the weight, shape, and size of the load. Take the time to get mechanical assistance such as a hoist, hand truck, or pallet jack, or even a lifting partner if needed. Know where you plan to go and ensure the path is clear. Employ the following steps for body positioning when preparing to lift. Place feet at shoulder width apart on firm footing. Bend your knees and position yourself as close to the item as possible. Get a secure handhold of the item from under the object if no better place. Lift the load slowly using the strength of your legs and arms, not your back. Keep your shoulders aligned with your hips while moving, changing direction with your entire body. Lower the load slowly using your legs and arms, not your back. Avoid the following actions as these will increase your risk of injury while lifting. lifting items beyond your ability, which might include the weight, shape, or size of the object. Straight leg, bent at the waist lifting. Twisting at the waist while lifting or carrying. Lifting material or placing it down at an extended reach from your body. Lifting or lowering materials above your shoulders. Attention to surroundings. In today's busy world filled with electronic communications, there are numerous varieties of mental and physical distractions. But when you are at work, especially near heavy equipment operations, losing focus on your surroundings can result in injuries to yourself or others. The following can help reduce your risk of injury. Pay attention when you walk, especially around blind corners or while using stairs. Avoid distractions such as texting or reading while walking. This can lead to a slip, trip, fall, or collision. Be aware of your surroundings at all times, even in familiar areas. Keep your mind focused on what you are doing in that moment. While energetic work is appreciated, rushing can lead to accidents and mistakes. When you are in motion, whether on equipment or simply walking, look in the direction of travel. This includes moving up or down. If using a hand tool or working near machinery, give special focus on the placement of your hands and other body parts. Good health and plenty of rest will help you remain alert. Housekeeping. A clean, organized work environment offers a professional appearance and the efficient use of available space. Controlling clutter, though, is an important part of a workplace safety program. Regular housekeeping contributes to fire prevention efforts and reduces the risk of incidents and injuries. Keep lighting maintained or repaired. Place trash in waste containers and empty these regularly. Guard or eliminate protruding objects from walkways. Store items when not in use and remove unnecessary materials. Accident prevention signal words. Signal words communicate specific hazards that could harm workers or the public, or both, or cause property damage. Personnel must understand the meaning of these signal words, which may appear on signs, labels, tags, or in print. Where these appear, additional instructions will be provided. Pictograms may be included to enhance communication. Danger signal word. Danger indicates an immediate hazard that presents a threat of death or serious injury, and special precautions are necessary. Danger can also be used to indicate a hazardous situation which, if not avoided, will result in death or serious injury. Warning signal word. Warning indicates a level of hazard between danger and caution. Warning can also be used to indicate a hazardous situation which, if not avoided, could result in death or serious injury. Caution signal word. Caution is used to warn against potential hazards or to caution against unsafe practices. Caution can also be used to indicate a hazardous situation that, if not avoided, could result in minor or moderate injury. Proper precautions should be taken for these instances. There are many benefits to reducing accidents and incidents. As a matter of convenience, we can get through the workday more easily when there is no need to stop and report damaged property or defective equipment. Most importantly, however, is the wellness of all personnel. Recall that the health and safety of Kubota personnel is the first priority of the organization. We all share the desire to end our day by returning home to friends and family. Safe work practices help us achieve this goal.